Hi, Tom here. Welcome to our pastime. This is a video about restoring a level 54A grater blade. I purchased this blade as one of my first sets of implements for the Farmall Cub a few years ago, right after I bought my first Cub. As you can see, the blade and mounting frame was in pretty rough shape, so I decided I would restore it, and it was quite an undertaking to get all the rust off. You can see here there's a lot of flaking, not much paint left, and I basically took these pictures just so I could remember how I took it apart. So to take the rust off, I decided the best way would be to use electrolysis. Not only would it remove the rust easily and with minimal effort, I also found out that it leaves, through the process of removing the rust, it leaves a protective coating on the metal as well that prevents the metal from rusting any further, called magnetite. It happens through this electrolysis process. Basically, you set up an anode and a cathode. The cathode is the negative and the anode is the positive. That's a sacrificial anode. It deteriorates over time as the rust travels towards the anode, and you can see the anode right there is a tin can that I used. I found that to work best for me. Other people use higher grade steel, but anyway, your anode gets thrown away at the end because it pretty much is used up during this process. For this video, I'm not showing the complete restoration process using electrolysis. This picture here this video here is an hour into the electrolysis process. As you can see, the water is already getting cloudy, and that continues to get cloudier and cloudier the longer the time goes on during the process. So eventually you'll see that you can't see anything through the water, which doesn't make for good video. So this was my first real experiment using electrolysis, and you can see the bubbling up coming off the frame right there. That's the hydrogen coming off the metal, and when the hydrogen comes off the metal, it takes the rust along with it, the ferric oxide, and that converts it into the magnetite as it leaves the metal. And then that ferric oxide travels to the anode on a positive electron. So it's kind of neat. There's a lot of, if you want to get more details about this, YouTube is full of other people who go into really high detail and really can teach you the great process of this. I'll link below in the description the guy that inspired me to do this, and he did a piece of metal that was fit inside of a small, one of those small swimming pool tubs you get at Walmart for kids. He had a fairly substantial size of metal. So here we're just into about 2 hours into the process, and there's a lot of rust coming off already. The metal at the end, I think it took about probably 4 hours to get to this point, and at this point it's all the rust had come off. And here's another example of I got crazy and put in lots of anodes, and I had lots of metal. I think I had the pivot bar in here for the plow part and some other smaller parts But my power source for this was just a battery charger, simple battery charger, cheap battery charger, and that was more than enough to power this process. And you use washing soda, Arm & Hammer washing soda, and water, and then the electricity from a supplied power source, which was the battery charger in this case. The little transformer you see there, the Tyco transformer, that's just, I found that I needed a little charge. I had to put a little charge in the water just to get the battery charger to start up, and once the battery charger started up, it continued on throughout the process. That was just I hadn't seen that in any of the videos, the YouTube videos, but I couldn't get my charger just to start the electrolysis process without giving it a little jump through using the transformer. You can see here that if I had shown you the entire process, all you would have seen was a bunch of dirty water, and it really doesn't show you very well what's going on. So for the bigger parts, I went to Walmart and got the largest storage tub they had, and warn you right now, that's not enough. There's not enough support in those tubs to hold that much water, so you have to build a little subframe. I think you'll see that quickly glimpse around in one of these pictures. I made a little 2x4 subframe that went around it. This is the cutting bar on the blade. That was the rustiest part in behind it. I would recommend anybody that has one of these, there you can see the frame there, anyone who has one of these grater blades, periodically they ought to take the cutting bar off and clean behind it. So here's a finished product, the magnetite coating on these springs. It was about 1.5 years before I got back to painting. This next part you'll see the painting part of it, but it was about 1.5 years before I got back to it, and there was no rust at all on any of my parts. The magnetite really did a good job protecting it. And this next part you'll see just some primer going on the bare metal, and I didn't use much of I hardly used any wire. I didn't use a wire brush or the wire on the drill very much at all, just on some really problem areas where the rust was a little thicker maybe, but very rarely did I have to use a wire brush, and mostly what I did was use a Scotch pad and rinsed off the magnetite with the Scotch pad and some water, and that's all I had to do. Wait for the metal to dry, and then I could prime it. And that's what you're seeing here, is piece by piece I primed it, and that's about it. So if you like this video, please subscribe. My next video will show me assembling this finished product back together. I haven't seen any videos where people assemble the L54 in all its pieces apart, like you see here. That should be interesting to see how it goes back together. I have all new stainless steel bolts and hardware to put it back together with, so those will stand out and be easy to see in the video, I hope. Yeah, so please like and subscribe, and you'll make sure you hit the bell when you subscribe, and you'll be notified when that video hits the airwaves on YouTube. And I'm also on Instagram now, and I've been posting some of these pictures here on Instagram. It's OPT video, all one word, and you can follow along there too if you would like. I also have OPT video on Facebook. It's spelled the same as on Instagram, so you can hit me up there too, and that's probably easier if you want to send me a message. I check there periodically. Here, these are some coasters with the 4 different styles of cub hoods in the front. The paints that I used in the next section where I start putting the color on, at the end of this part here, I have a close-up of the paint cans and the color numbers, a little better than that last section. So let's get some color on. I'll put links at the end of the video for you to subscribe, and I really appreciate you watching, and I'll shut up now and you can just enjoy the paint going on the rest of the plow. Thanks for watching.